Hi everyone, welcome back. And in this video, I wanted to give you some information on story estimation and you as a business analyst, how you would be involved in this particular process. So, as a business analyst, you need to make sure of certain things while the story estimation is being done. So there are some do's that you need to check for before estimation, during estimation, and after estimation. Also, there are some don'ts that you need to make sure and avoid following those things. Okay, so with this in mind, let's get into it. So, first of all, in order to estimate a story, we need to know what is used for story estimations. So, stories are estimated using story points. So, what are story points? So, story points are units of measure, which is an estimate of the overall time, effort, and complexity that is required to fully implement a story. Okay, so for a story to fully be implemented, we need to estimate that story. Things need to be completed, and in order to estimate that story, we need to keep in mind the time, effort, and complexity that needs to be done to complete that story. So that is a story point. So now here are some do's that you need to do. So before estimation, the very first thing that you need to do is the team needs to decide and define the value of a story point. So if you're a new business analyst into the team, then you need to maybe check out what is the value of one pointer. If one pointer, it can have many meanings. Okay, it doesn't stay the same for team to team. Okay, one team's story point can mean a day. Another team might define one story point which is equal to a week. Or some other team might define a story point based on the amount of effort or complexity. So, your team also would have chosen a value for a story point based upon their needs and the way that it fits into their team. So you need to check out with the team what is the value of that one story point. Or if it's going to be a new project that you're going to work on, then you need to sit down with the team and define what is this value of a story point. The next one is, you as a business analyst, you need to make sure that all the details of a story is captured. Only when all the details of a story is provided to the developers, they would be able to make the decision and to be able to estimate the story accurately. If there's going to be a lot of vague information, it's going to be hard for developers to estimate the story, and sometimes it's going to be a very fuzzy estimation that is done. So these are things you need to make sure from your end. The next one is, during estimation, make sure that estimation should be done as a team. Okay, when I say team, if your team consists of 10 members or 20 members or more, it can be any number. I'm just taking an example. You need to make sure that at least the full team, or approximately leaving out one or few members due to some exceptional scenarios, you need to make sure that the entire team is there present for the estimation. The reason why this should be done is because when stories are estimated, at that time no one knows who's going to work with that story. Okay, so we need everyone's consensus and everyone to come up and be clear and on the same page as to what is the story estimation. So once everyone agrees on a particular story estimate, that would be better, because once it's taken into development, everyone has agreed that it's a 3 or 2 story pointer, which would be easy and it would avoid any confusions. So always make sure that the entire team is there, because later on someone who takes up the story might come and say that this is going to be a high story point. So you need to make sure that the entire team is present to avoid confusions like that. And the next one is, after estimation, you need to triangulate these estimations. So triangulation means the process of you or the team comparing a estimated story with other estimated stories. So the reason for doing this is that just for checking and validating that all stories are estimated in the right manner, and that you have followed or your team has followed the right estimations and have accurately estimated the stories. So when you compare this, for example, I'm comparing this story, display the product list. So I need to compare it with my other stories and check, okay, this is a two pointer. I'll compare it with this story. So comparing the filter, I feel that this is going to have a little more of effort, or it's going to take a little more of time. So yes, 2 is going to be the estimation. When I compare it with this story, make payment via card, then it's going to be a slightly lesser of effort and time, which means that yes, it is estimated rightly. So this is the way the team can validate that the stories are estimated correctly and accurately. So you can facilitate the team to do this. The next one is split stories if required. So sometimes during estimation, you might find that the team would have come up with a very large pointer story point for a story. So if story points are going to be too large for a particular story, then there can be chances that the story can be split up into multiple stories. So you need to review that particular story and see how best you can split that story up. So that's with all the do's during story estimations and after story estimations and before story estimations. Two things that I wanted to let you know, that things that you should not do. Okay, so the first one is make sure story estimates do not change regardless of a single developer or pair programming. So if a single developer is going to work and implement a particular story, and also if a pair is going to work on that particular story, estimates will not change. We cannot say one developer is working on the story, so we need to give it a little more higher point. Whereas if it's going to be pair programming, means that two people are working, so I think the story estimate can be a little lower. No, that should not be done. So regardless of a single developer or pairs implementing that particular story, the estimate should never change. So if that's something that's being done, then you need to avoid it. The second one is don't compare other teams' velocity with your team's velocity. So you might have discussions with other teams, and there might be chances that you come to know that a team is working and completing many story points for their iteration, and your team is not completing as many as theirs. So if at all you bring it up to the team saying, hey, you know what, that team is completing more stories than what we are doing, that's totally wrong. So you might get higher level management stakeholders or managers coming up to you and saying team A is delivering more while team B is delivering less pointers. So that should never be the scenario. Each team will have a definition for the story points that they are working on. So as I said, your team might be defining one pointer which is equal to 1 day, whereas that team might be estimate giving the value for one story point could be based on another criteria, which is the complexity or the effort or per week. So every team would have a different value for that story pointer, so you can never compare yours with another team's. So if at all that's being done, then you need to stop it right away and do not compare it. So these were some things that I wanted to let you know for story estimations, and you as a BA, how you can involve and get things right. So if this video was helpful, please do give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to this channel and do share your feedbacks. Thank you.